Okay, Jenny has been asking me to do this for a number of months, and I have, for various reasons, declined politely, irritably, nervously, and she's finally got me up to do it. And it's not because I haven't been thinking about it, because this might explain why sometimes I find it difficult to stand up and talk about politics. My parents live beside a body of water in County Down in Northern Ireland. It's one of the largest tidal lochs in what is currently known as the British Isles, and it is beautiful. From the beach near their cottage, you can see where the water meets the Irish Sea. The loch has two names. It is more commonly known as Strangford Loch, from the Old Norse Strangfjord, or strong inlet, from the strong and often violent waters that are found at the narrows at the mouth of the loch. Viking raids were a constant present during the Middle Ages. Any boats coming in from outside must have knowledge of the strong tidal streams to gain access to the inner waters or face a vicious battle against the currents. Once inside, the landscape is sheltered, rounded and fertile, with distinctive egg-shaped hills called drumlins, and the water is often very serene. There are monastery sites dating to the 5th century, and it's in the Slaney River that St Patrick is said to have landed. The Irish name for the water is Loch Huan, or Loch of the Bays, or Havens, calm and serene water. Sometimes things look different from the inside. So from that story and from my accent, you will understand that I am not Scottish. I have lived in Edinburgh since January 2010. Before that, 3 years in Manchester. Before that, a year back in Edinburgh. Before that, 9 months in Belfast. Before that, a year in New Zealand. And before that, 3 years in the south of England. But if you ask me where I'm from, if you ask me what I am, I will usually reply, Northern Irish. Northern Ireland, of course, has its own problems in the area of self-determination. When talk started to fly of ideas of Scottish independence, when an actual referendum date was set, when this question would be voted on in a properly legal, political type way, when people actually started talking about ideas of self-determination and independence in newspapers and online and in cafes and bars and in the pub, and putting their own names beside their own opinions publicly, I was still incredibly shy. Partly, I felt that I had no right to contribute to this debate, that I was not Scottish. That if I had the right to contribute to this debate anywhere, never mind hold power to add to the decision-making on it, it would be Northern Ireland. But I don't live in Northern Ireland anymore, although I do still call it home. I have not lived there for any significant length of time for nearly 14 years. I do not contribute to the Northern Irish economy. I do not contribute to culture or society or community in Northern Ireland. I have not exercised my right to vote in Northern Ireland, and I'm pretty damn uninformed of exactly what's happening in Northern Irish politics right now. But the majority of my family is still there, and there are some things I do know about current Northern Irish politics. That although the violence has mostly abated, not much has changed in public attitudes to the situation. That debates among citizens on politics, on issues of self-determination, on nationalism or unionism, republicanism or loyalism are not held in public. That there is still a fear and a choking bitterness amongst the older generation, including that of my parents, or an eye-rolling apathy amongst the younger generation, including that of my brother. That standing up in a bar to declare my political intentions is something I have never felt able to publicly do at home. And also that, if I am honest with myself, I don't really understand anymore how the political system in Northern Ireland works. I don't really understand what power is held by Stormont and what power is held by Westminster. I don't really understand how my country works. What I do know about the independence debate is that Scotland is debating the question of how a country works, and that I feel it is doing it without fear, and that is wonderful. And because these questions are being discussed without fear, I have found myself slowly, pretty damn slowly, bracing myself to understand them more. To understand what goes into running a country and whether or not that is something that should be done from a centralised remote parliament somewhere else, or whether or not Scotland, with its NHS and its education system and its economy and resources and its history and its culture and its politics and its ethics and all the things that make up a country should be given to the people who live there, who really actually do live there. And I believe that they should, and I understand, or I'm on my way to understanding that now. And being on my way to understanding those very basic questions, I'm excited about being part of a movement that could shape the answers to them in the future. For me, the incredible thing about this referendum is that the questions being asked, for the most part, are not those of ethnicity or nationality. I have now spent over 4 years living in Scotland, and I have contributed in more ways to the economy, society, culture and community here than I have ever contributed to those of any country in my adult life before. I understand that I would like to stay here, and that while I will never be Scottish, in my own eyes as much as anyone else's, that I am equipped to be a Scottish citizen and that I would be welcome. I understand that the openness of this debate, even with the uncertainty and the mudslinging and the lack of concrete political promises or manifestos and all the unknowns, has taught me more about being a citizen of a country than ever before. I understand that Westminster politics is corrupt and increasingly alien to anything that I consider important in how a country functions, and that there is a chance for a real positive change to move away from that. And I would like to be part of that change. And that's why I'm here today.